We have to come down hard on people that aren't quarantining coming into our country. It's a privilege to come into Canada. It's a privilege to be here in Ontario. And if you aren't quarantining, if you aren't sitting on your couch, we're coming after you. It's very simple, because it is concerning that we see the numbers going up. But keep in mind that there's three, in my opinion, three hot areas: Ottawa, Toronto, and Brampton. And I can't emphasize it enough that we can't have these big parties. We can't have the big weddings. I understand a lot of cultures have massive weddings. They're bringing families from all over the world. You just can't do it. Simple, postpone your wedding, get married in a small group, but you can't have these big gatherings. It's frustrating because it affects the rest of the province when everyone's doing so well in small groups within communities in Ottawa, Toronto, and Brampton. It's the vast majority of the cases. So it's very concerning. I want to pass this over to Dr. Williams, if you don't mind.
Yes, well, thank you, Premier. And I would echo the comments and concerns that the Premier has raised. And one of the aspects of when we're starting to see this number creep up again, and we see them as part of large communal gatherings, it's obvious that whether people think the excuse of COVID fatigue or whatever, that they can go lax and lay aside the public health measures. This is not the time to do it. We're heading into the fall season. We're heading into respiratory virus season. And on top of that, we're trying to open our schools and that. And as the Minister Lecce had said, and the Minister Elliott, it's the community side we got to look after and keep that number down. This is not the time to get casual about that. And we hear people saying, well, I thought it was no big deal. And you can see it is a big deal. And we've been asking people that are going to school and some are coming in already infected. They got it outside the school. And we're saying, one, if you're symptomatic, don't go. If you're sick, don't go. The other aspect is that if you've been in a large communal gathering where you don't know the people, that's where we had our social circles. And if you do not know the people and their exposure, you can't assume that it's not a problem. It is probably a problem. And you're going to have to be more and more careful in the next number of weeks, especially as we go into this time. You've heard the predictions about second waves, and you see that other countries are experiencing that at this time. It's not just talk, it can actually happen. And if everybody starts to slide, then you end up with a second wave. And whether the Premier is saying whether people coming from outside bringing it in, or you're sitting in groups and gatherings where people have brought and come in without proper protection, you know you're putting yourself, your children, and then your school at risk. And so we're asking you to really hold the line at the moment for the next 3 to 4 weeks especially. We got to be really stringent on those adherences, and we got to really make sure I'm not putting myself at risk, I'm not putting my family at risk, I'm not putting my children at risk, and then my children in the cohorts they're going to be involved in the school setting, whether I'm teaching there, working there, or a student going there. We really have to tighten and be firm on this at this time and not loosen up and be casual. So I would echo the Premier's comments exactly.